Gemini said, you wake up, walk to the bathroom, and look in the mirror. You touch your hair, expecting it to feel soft, clean, and vibrant, especially after you spent a small fortune on that high end moisturizing shampoo and conditioner. But instead, it feels wrong. It feels stiff, almost like dried hay. The color looks dull, perhaps a bit brassy or muddy, lacking that silver sparkle or rich tone you used to have. You might even feel a strange, gritty film on your scalp, despite having washed it just this morning. You wonder, is this just aging? Is my hair simply giving up on me? You are not crazy. And more importantly, your hair hasn't given up on you. There is a hidden thief in your bathroom, an invisible saboteur that is actively undoing every single thing you try to do to improve your appearance. It's not your hormones, it's not your age, and it's certainly not your choice of shampoo. It is the very water coming out of your shower head. You are likely showering in what we call hard water, and it is coating your hair in an invisible mineral mask that suffocates a strand, blocks moisture, and alters your color. I am going to walk you through exactly how this happens. We are going to look at the science of why your water is turning against you, exploring 7 specific ways these minerals destroy your hair health. But I promise you, I'm not just here to deliver bad news. By the time we are done today, you will have a complete toolkit to strip away that mineral mask and reveal the healthy, soft hair that is waiting underneath. You deserve to feel confident when you look in the mirror, and we are going to get you there. But before we dive into the chemistry of your shower, I want to welcome you. If you are new here, consider subscribing to our community. We are dedicated to sharing that kind of deep dive senior health and lifestyle tips that most doctors and stylists simply don't have the time to explain. We look at the why so you can fix the how. And I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments. It is always fascinating to see how global our family is becoming. Now, let's begin with the first sign that your water is the culprit, something I like to call the lather failure. You know the feeling. You squeeze a generous amount of expensive shampoo into your palm, you massage it into your wet hair, and nothing happens. You expect a rich, creamy foam that covers your head, but instead, the shampoo seems to disappear. It feels thin, watery, and you end up using double or triple the amount just to feel like you're getting clean. This isn't because the shampoo is cheap. It's because of a chemical war happening on your head. Hard water is defined by high levels of calcium and magnesium. When these positively charged minerals meet the soap or detergent molecules in your shampoo, which are usually negatively charged, they react instantly. Instead of the soap binding to the dirt and oil on your scalp to wash it away, the soap binds to the minerals in the water. This is a phenomenon well documented in cosmetic chemistry. In fact, a study published in the International Journal of Cosmetic Science analyzed the performance of surfactants, the cleaning agents in shampoo in varying water hardness levels. The data showed that in hard water environments, the foaming capacity of standard surfactants can be reduced by over 40%. That is nearly half of your cleaning power gone before you even start scrubbing. Think of it like trying to wash greasy dishes in cold water without soap. You are just moving the dirt around. Because the shampoo molecules are busy holding onto the calcium in the water, they cannot do their job of cleaning your hair. Even worse, this reaction creates a byproduct known as soap scum. You have seen the scum on your glass shower doors or the rim of your bathtub, that white, chalky residue that is impossible to scrub off. Well, imagine that same sticky, chalky residue, but coated all over your delicate hair strands. That is why you can't get a lather. And that is why your hair never feels truly clean. You are essentially washing your hair in liquid rock. So the next time you find yourself pouring half a bottle of shampoo onto your head in frustration, stop. It's not you and it's not the bottle. It's the calcium hijacking your lather. The immediate actionable advice here is to look for chelating shampoos if you cannot fix your water source immediately, but we will get to the permanent fix later. For now, just recognize that lack of foam is your first red flag. Moving on from the shower experience to the visual result, we have to talk about one of the most heartbreaking effects of hard water for those of us embracing our natural silver or gray hair. This is the rust tint. There is nothing quite as stunning as a head of pure, shimmering silver or white hair. It denotes wisdom, elegance, and grace. But for many, that silver starts to turn a dull, brassy, or even rusty orange color over time. You might think this is sun damage or product buildup, but often it is literally rust. If your water comes from a well or passes through old municipal pipes, it likely contains iron. Oxidized iron is what we commonly know as rust. When you shower, these microscopic iron particles deposit onto the hair shaft. Over time, they oxidize further upon exposure to air and sunlight. The science here is fascinating and slightly alarming. A study from the Journal of the Society of Cosmetic Chemists investigated the adsorption of metals onto human hair. They found that hair acts almost like a sponge for heavy metals, with iron levels in the hair of people using hard water measuring significantly higher, sometimes up to 3 times higher than those using soft water. The study highlighted that white and gray hair is particularly susceptible to visible discoloration because it lacks the melanin pigment that usually masks these deposits in darker hair. Imagine leaving a garden tool out in the rain for a week. You know that orange brown crust that forms on the metal? That is essentially what is happening to your hair. You are slowly plating your beautiful silver strands in a layer of iron oxide. This creates that brassy, unwashed look that no amount of purple shampoo can fully correct, because purple shampoo corrects yellow tones, not orange rust tones. If you are battling this brassiness, you need to understand that you aren't fighting a pigment issue. You are fighting a mineral deposit issue. The takeaway here is crucial. If you see orange, you have iron. You need to stop trusting color correcting conditioners to fix a water problem. You wouldn't paint over a rusty car without removing the rust first, right? The same logic applies to your hair. Now, let's talk about texture. If you have ever felt like your hair has transformed from silk to straw, you are experiencing our third point, the straw texture. This is perhaps the most physically uncomfortable symptom. You touch your hair and it feels stiff, dry, and brittle. It tangles easily. And when you try to brush it, you hear that snapping sound of breakage. This happens because of calcium crystallization. The hair shaft is covered in an outer layer called the cuticle, which looks like shingles on a roof. On healthy hair, these shingles lay flat and smooth, reflecting light and allowing moisture to stay inside. Hard water minerals, specifically calcium, crystallize on top of these shingles. Research published in the International Journal of Trichology utilized electron microscopy to look at hair treated with hard water. The images are startling. They reveal that the mineral deposits actually cause the cuticle scales to lift and crack. The study noted that hair exposed to hard water showed a statistically significant decrease in tensile strength, meaning it breaks much easier, and a massive increase in surface friction. Think of it like this. Imagine those shingles on your roof are being pried up by little rocks stuck underneath them. When the shingles are lifted, the inner structure of the hair is exposed to the elements, leading to moisture loss. Furthermore, the rough surface catches on everything, your comb, your pillowcase, even other strands of hair. That is why it tangles so badly. You are essentially trying to comb through sandpaper. The emotional toll of this straw texture is real. It makes you feel unkempt, causing you to pull your hair back or hide it under hats, which only leads to more breakage. If your hair feels stiff even when it is wet, that is the calcium talking. The advice here is to avoid protein-heavy conditioners if you have hard water, as protein can make mineral-coated hair feel even stiffer. Instead, you need intense moisture, but only after the minerals are removed. This brings us to a sensation that often accompanies the texture issues, something that affects the very soil your hair grows from. We need to discuss point number 4, scalp buildup. Have you ever stepped out of the shower, dried your hair, and scratched your head only to find a gross, waxy substance under your fingernails? Or perhaps your scalp feels itchy and gritty no matter how much you scrub. Many people mistake this for dandruff or dry skin. They go out and buy harsh anti-dandruff shampoos that strip the scalp of oils, making the problem worse. But what you are likely feeling is that same soap scum precipitate we talked about earlier. settling directly onto your skin. Your scalp is a living ecosystem with a delicate pH balance. A healthy scalp has a slightly acidic pH, usually around 5.5, which keeps bacteria and fungi in check. Hard water, however, is alkaline. A study in the journal Dermatologic Therapy examined the effects of pH on the skin barrier. The researchers found that repeated exposure to high pH environments like hard water washing disrupts the acid mantle of the scalp, leading to increased transepidermal water loss and creating an environment where Malassezia, the yeast that causes dandruff, thrives. The study indicated that disruption of this barrier function is a primary driver of scalp irritation and inflammation. Imagine pouring a layer of thin cement over the soil in your garden. The plants, your hair follicles cannot breathe, the roots become choked, and the natural cycle of growth is impeded. That waxy buildup blocks your hair follicles, which can eventually lead to hair thinning. If the follicle is clogged with calcium and soap scum, the hair cannot grow out freely. So, if you are constantly scratching your head, stop treating it like dandruff and start treating it like a mineral blockade. You don't need to dry it out, you need to dissolve the crust. The actionable takeaway here is to incorporate a scalp massager into your routine to physically help break up that calcification, but be gentle. We don't want to scratch the skin, we just want to dislodge the debris. We are over halfway through our list, and I hope this is starting to make sense of the frustrations you've been having. If these tips are resonating with you, or if you've experienced that straw feeling, do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up. It helps other people find this information so they can stop struggling with their hair too. Now, let's address the elephant in the room for those of you who color your hair. Point number 5 is color fading. It is incredibly frustrating to go to the salon, spend hours and a significant amount of money to get that perfect shade of chestnut, blonde, or auburn, only to watch it wash down the drain in 2 weeks. You blame the shampoo, or maybe you blame the stylist for using cheap dye, but the culprit is likely copper in your water. Copper is a highly reactive metal often found in household plumbing. It might be in low concentrations that are safe to drink, but for hair color, it is disastrous. Copper acts as a catalyst for free radical formation. When you use hair dye, you are using a chemical process that opens the hair cuticle to deposit color. If copper is present in your hair, it reacts with the developer, hydrogen peroxide, in the dye. This is not just a theory. The research and development team at Procter & Gamble, in collaboration with other scientists, published a landmark study in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology. They discovered that copper in tap water accelerates the formation of free radicals during the hair coloring process. These free radicals attack the protein structure of the hair and break down the dye molecules much faster than normal. The study quantified this, showing that even trace amounts of copper could increase protein damage and color fading by over 50% compared to water without copper. Think of it like leaving a colored shirt out in the blazing sun every single day. The sun bleaches the color out. Copper acts like a chemical sun, accelerating that fading process from the inside out. It literally eats the color molecule. If you are tired of your rich browns turning orange or your cool blondes turning yellow, within a week, you have to neutralize the metals before you apply the color. The practical advice here is to never wash your hair with tap water immediately before a color appointment. Go in with hair that is dry or has been washed with distilled water, if possible, or ask your stylist for a demineralizing treatment before they apply the color. It creates a clean canvas so the color can actually hold. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds like me, but how do I know for sure? You don't have a mass spectrometer in your bathroom to test your water. That brings us to point number 6, the vinegar test. This is a simple, low-tech way to see if minerals are coating your hair right now. The science behind this is basic high school chemistry, acid-base reactions. Calcium carbonate, the main component of hard water scale, is alkaline. Vinegar acetic acid is acidic. When an acid touches calcium carbonate, it fizzes as it breaks down the mineral and releases carbon dioxide gas. A study by Dr. Maria Fernanda Reis Gavazzoni Diaz in the International Journal of Trichology discusses the pH of hair and shampoos noting that alkaline pH increases the negative electrical charge of the hair fiber surface and increases friction. Acidic rinses can help neutralize this. But for our test, we are looking for the reaction itself. Here is what you do. Take a strand of hair, maybe one from your hairbrush, and drop it into a small bowl of white vinegar. Watch it closely. If you see tiny little bubbles forming on the hair shaft, or if the hair strand floats oddly due to air pockets forming, that is the acid reacting with the mineral deposits on your hair. It's like a microscopic version of those baking soda and vinegar volcanoes we made as kids. If you see those bubbles, you have confirmation your hair is coated in calcium. It's a validating moment because it proves that the texture issues aren't in your head, they are on your head. This test is free, it's easy, and it gives you the undeniable proof you need to take action. Now that we have diagnosed the problem, the lather failure, the rust, the straw texture, the scalp buildup, the fading color, and the vinegar reaction, we arrive at the most important point of all, the solution. Point number 7 is the shower filter fix. You might be tempted to just buy a clarifying shampoo. And while clarifying shampoos are great, using them every day is too drying for senior hair, which is already naturally drier. You need to stop the minerals before they ever touch your head. You need a physical barrier. However, not all filters are created equal. And this is where people get scammed. A standard carbon filter, like the one in a water pitcher, removes chlorine, which is good, but it does not remove dissolved minerals like calcium and magnesium. You need a shower filter that specifically uses KDF 55 media or holds a certification for water softening conditioning. Real water softening involves ion exchange, physically swapping calcium ions for sodium ions. A true whole house water softener is the gold standard, but they are expensive and require plumbing changes. If you are renting or on a budget, you need a high quality shower stick or a filter head that contains specific sequestering agents or complex filtration media. A review of water purification technologies in the Journal of Water and Health outlines how kinetic degradation fluxion KDF formulations use redox reactions to remove chlorine and soluble heavy metals like lead, mercury, and iron, while a simple shower head filter might not remove 100% of calcium hardness. Only a softener does that. A high quality filter with KDF can significantly reduce the heavy metals iron, rust, and chlorine, and often includes ceramic balls to alter the adhesion properties of calcium so it flows off your hair rather than sticking to it. Think of a good shower filter as a bouncer at the door of a nightclub. It checks the water before it gets to you, tossing out the rowdy iron and chlorine molecules so that only the clean water gets to dance with your hair. Your actionable advice here is specific. Do not just buy the cheapest filter you find. Look for one that specifically mentions KDF 55 or heavy metal removal. If you have the means, a shower stick style softener that you regenerate with salt water is the most effective tool short of a whole house system. It is the only way to truly protect your investment in yourself. Let's take a breath and look at what we've covered. We have uncovered the invisible mineral mask that has been sabotaging your hair. We looked at how calcium kills your shampoo's ability to lather, forcing you to waste product. We saw how iron acts like rust, turning your beautiful silver strands brassy. We learned how crystallized minerals lift your hair cuticles, creating that unmanageable straw texture and causing breakage. We discussed the suffocating layer on your scalp that mimics dandruff and how copper eats your expensive hair color for breakfast. We even learned a simple kitchen test to prove the minerals are there. But most importantly, we identified the line of defense, proper filtration. I want you to take a moment and imagine what your morning could look like a month from now. You step into the shower and the water feels softer on your skin. You use a dime-sized amount of shampoo and it erupts into a luxurious, thick lather. When you rinse, your hair feels slippery and smooth, not squeaky and stiff. You dry your hair and your natural silver shines like a polished coin, or your dyed color looks as vibrant as the day you left the salon. Your scalp feels breathable and calm. This isn't a fantasy. This is simply the result of chemistry. You have spent years, perhaps decades, caring for others, working hard, and navigating the challenges of life. You have earned the right to feel good about yourself. You have earned the right to look in the mirror and recognize the vibrant person staring back. Don't let something as simple as tap water rob you of that joy. Mobility issues or fixed income might make a whole house softener difficult, and that is okay. Start small. Start with a clarifying wash to strip the current buildup and look into a screw on shower filter. These are small changes, but they compound over time into massive results. You are taking control of your environment, and that is a powerful thing. I want to hear from you now. Have you ever noticed that your hair behaves differently when you travel to a different city or stay at a hotel? That is usually the biggest clue that water quality is the variable. Share your story in the comments below. Tell me about your hair victories or your hair struggles. And if you found this deep dive helpful, if you learned something new about the science of your hair, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Do it because your health is worth fighting for, and we are here to fight alongside you, armed with science and support. Remember, aging is natural, but struggling with hard water hair is optional. You have the knowledge now. Go wash away that mask and let your true self shine. See you in the next video.